welcome to episode 20 something of the Tatted Tatter Crochet and Tatting podcast. My name is Stephanie and I'm coming to you from my home in Orange in Southern California, and I am excited to be here. I have a ton of whips and some fun, good things to show you that I'm really excited about. Mostly, of course, baby-related things. And we'll go through, I do have a finished object to show you, and then some whips, and then some purchases, and some life update stuff to give you. So we will go ahead and get started. If you want to find me online, I am on Instagram as Tatted Tatter and on Ravelry as The Tatted Tatter. And if you have any podcast-related questions or comments or any of those things, you can email me at thetattedtatterca@gmail.com. So we'll get started with my finished object, which was almost done last time I saw you, and I finished it like the next day, I think. It didn't take me too much longer, and then it took me a while until I did laundry again to wash it, but it is complete. I'll put it in a picture because you're not gonna be able to see the whole thing. But, ta-da! So this is my teddy bear blanket. It's a corner to corner, my first corner to corner project. And it's pretty big. I haven't measured it. I should measure it to see how big it is. You can kind of get most of it in there this way. The pattern is from Repeat Crafter Me, the teddy bear blanket. And the yarn is Bernat Blanket. And the colors are Ivy, Vintage White, Black, or Charcoal, I think is the official title of that color, Sand, and Taupe. So those are the colors. And like I mentioned last time, it was a good pattern. There's a tutorial video on the blog. It's a free pattern. So if you look up teddy bear blanket on Repeat Crafter Me, you'll find it. It's also on my Ravelry. If you find me on Ravelry, I have all the information in there. I haven't measured how much yarn I used. I don't know that I will because my scale that I use for my yarn is a little small for the Bernat blanket, but it used up a pretty decent amount of yarn. Not much of the white, obviously, and the black, the charcoal, so I'll use those for something else. But yeah, I like how it finished up. It's really squishy. The border didn't have too much instruction other than to just do a single crochet border, and so I did joined rounds, and it ended up, there's a little end sticking out that I have to weave back in. Came out when I washed it. But if you can see, it kind of makes a little bump where the joins happened, but it's not really all that noticeable, so I'm not too concerned about it, but it may have been worth it to do just continuous rounds. I wouldn't want to do turned rounds because I like the texture that it creates, having just the single crochet. It's just a single crochet border, a couple of rounds of single crochet. So yeah, it worked out nicely. Like I said last time, I don't know that I'll do another corner to corner project anytime soon, just because it's a lot going on and a lot of ends, and having the bobbins all over everywhere. And I usually sit on the couch when I crochet, and it was really hard to do that. It would be much easier if I had like a table set out that I could work on, because of all the bobbins that you have to have all over everywhere to figure out how many, to be able to do it without having to weave in 80 million ends. Say hi, Peanut. Hi. Say hello. She's been on edge all day, and I don't know why. Maybe there's a new doggy in the neighborhood. Yeah. I love you too, Peanut. And you can see she got her trim. My husband shaved her. which we do about twice a year because her hair doesn't stop growing. She's one of those dogs. But she looks very cute. It's her summer cut. So yeah, so I have a ton of whips. I'll start with the ones you've seen. So, and living in my knitting llama bag from DNA Designs by Angie is my Elwood sweater. Ta-da! So the pattern is the Elwood sweater from Jenny Weeby. I'm probably mispronouncing her name, but it's the Elwood sweater. It is on Ravelry. As I mentioned before, I had a hard time purchasing it on Ravelry. For whatever reason, PayPal wouldn't let me do it, so I had to purchase it on loveknitting.com. But it is a knit baby sweater, cardigan, and I'm doing the 18-month size. And the yarn that I'm using is Malabrigo Rios in Ravelry Red and Grease. And I really like how it's working up. I think that these colors together are fantastic. The collar was rough. You can see it's garter on the band, and then the collar itself is ribbed, and you have to do short rows in the ribbing. And it was just a hot mess. So I did it while I was at my local yarn shop and did decently, but then forgot about the whole garter part on here, and so it ended up with stockinette. And so luckily the woman who runs the knitting help group, Amanda, was able to fix it, so that I didn't have to pull it out and do it all over again, because I had already done that once and I did not want to do it again. But short rows and ribbing is not easy or fun. But it's done, and it's so adorable. I love it so much. So look at how cute this is. Yeah, and I love the colors, the way they're working up. I changed the striping pattern so that I wouldn't need 2 balls of the gray because I only have 1. And I did fewer rows on the sleeve because it seemed long enough. And again, I don't want to run out of the gray because I still have 1 more sleeve to go. And this is how much I have left. So I measured it, and before I started this sleeve, I had 16 grams, and Peanut, you're fine. And now I have like 8.5. So this should be just enough to do the other sleeve. But yeah, I really like how it's working up. It's a top-down raglan. Yeah, it's super cute. This is definitely harder than the other sweater that I did, so it's a step up. And I will probably take a break from cardigans for a while. I do have some yarn that I want to use to do a pullover. This baby will have plenty of sweaters. There we go. Next, you saw this, my bag from Molly Klein Design. This is my Rapture shawl from Rosina of Zines and Roger podcast, with a various mix of yarns, which I'll explain in a minute. Let me see. So I finished all the way through the main body, and I actually did like 4 rows of the brioche, but then I realized that I was doing them incorrectly, and so I had to rip all of them out. And luckily there is a video tutorial, which I did not realize because I did not print out the last page of the pattern because it was just information. It wasn't actually the pattern, and that was where it told you about the link to the tutorial video. So I will have to go back to that, but I've kind of put this aside for now. But I love how these colors worked up together. So the first color is one that I naturally dyed. It was a Knit Picks fingering yarn, I think the Comfy Fingering, and I dyed it with avocado pits and skins. And then there's a second color you can kind of see the difference. Kind of faded in there. That's a Peekaboo Yarns, it's Peach Blossom. And then this is Zara from Peekaboo Yarns, which I love. And so yeah, that's just gonna get put aside for now. It was aside, and then I worked on it, and now it's going back aside again to be worked on at a later date. But I'm glad I got some work done on this because it's been a long time. Whip. That's that one. And then I have two new whips to show you. The first is another baby blanket in this awesome bag that I got from Stitcher Tees, which is great. So I have started and am about 3/4 of the way through another baby blanket. So this is Henry's Baby Blanket is the name of the pattern. It's from Rebecca Langford of Yarn and Chai. And I'm using Barocco Vintage for the colors. It's almost dark, so I'm trying to record before it gets too dark. But the colors aren't going to show up great because it's not necessarily natural lighting, it's artificial lighting. But anyway, you can see how it has really great texture, and I love the color blocks and the little white in between. And I love Barocco Vintage. The first time I worked with it was when I did my shawl from Hannah. What is the title of that pattern? The Frost Shawl. And when I was gonna do, you know, stash that I had some Lion Brand yarn, but I didn't have enough of the same color, so I would have to mess with the stripes, and I realized that I really liked the pattern because of the colors. So I'll show you the original pattern, her original colors. She used a different yarn. But this is so she has a gray, whereas I have more of an oatmeal. But I really liked these colors, and I liked the contrast and the color blocking and all, like I said. So I decided, I was at Knit Night at Make One Yarn Company in Laverne, and I saw someone else doing similar themed colors with a knit blanket that they were working on, another baby blanket, and I was like, I can use Barocco Vintage for that because that's what they were using. So I went and looked, and they had exactly the right colors that I wanted. So this is the green is a little bit brighter than what Rebecca uses for hers, and then this is more of an oatmeal color than a gray. They only had one skein of the gray, and I needed two, so I went with the oatmeal. I keep looking over here. You were over here. Yeah, so I really like how it's working out. I love the ribbing. It is a free pattern on her blog. If you want the ad-free version, I think it's like $1.99. And then she has this thing on her website called an all access pass, where you pay 20 bucks. And then for the rest of time, you get all of her patterns ad-free for free. Well, for the 20 bucks. So yeah, I love it. The colors, the white is called Mochi, which makes my Japanese loving heart happy. And then the blue is dark denim. The brown is rye, and the green is holly. And again, if you look on my Ravelry, it has the numbers for those, since Barocco doesn't put the names of the colors on their tags for their yarn. They just have the numbers. But I'm not going to remember the numbers. I can remember the color names, but not the numbers. So yeah, I absolutely love it. I have one more panel of the brown, one more panel of the green, and then the ribbing, and I'll be done. So yeah, and because I had taken a little bit of a break from this to work on something else that I'll show you. You've actually already seen the yarn and the pattern. But then I was working on that yesterday, and I was really tired, and I kept messing up, and it made me really mad. So instead, I decided to work on this today, while fulfilling my old ladiness and watching Jeopardy while crocheting on the couch, which I'm very happy about. It was great. I love shouting out trivia answers of the TV. And so yeah, so that's my baby blanket. I'm calling it Alexander's Sandy Beaches blanket because it kind of reminds me of the beach because of the brown and the blue in there. So yeah, so now living in another bag from Molly Klein Design that she gave me, and I have to show you these pins. This is Crochet Luna's pin, which is so pretty. And then this is one of her other pins. Crochet Friends are the best of friends. Of course there's a knitting project in here, but whatever. Yeah, the lighting is terrible. Anyway, you should go see that. And then this one is a Sailor Moon pin that I got from Michelle Coffee on Instagram. So this is the, what is the official title of this pattern called? The Cozy Winter Shawl. So I showed you the pattern, and I showed you the yarn, and then this is where I am right now. So the yarn is Sisa by Marisol Yarns, and this is the color Leaf. And the pattern has ribbing and lace, and then a solid garter section. And so I've made it all the way through all the setup rows for the cables and the lace, and am, you know, now doing the garter section. So it's this all the way up, and then garter. But look at it. I hope it doesn't blow out too much. The lighting is really bad right now. I'm sorry. The color is much more of like an aquamarine than what you're seeing here. You'll see it again later in better lighting, hopefully. But the cables, it has 4 cables. There's a little one over here, and then the 3 lace sections. And I love how the different cables add different textures, and then the lace. So, like I said last night, I was working on this and I was really tired. And I messed up at some point, and I don't know exactly where it was, and I tried to work back and figure it out, and then I messed up the working back because there's like slip knits and yarn overs and the cables and all that kind of stuff in all of this, which is like way more advanced than I am in my knitting. And so then I just made it worse, and I should have from the very beginning just stopped, because how I'm doing this is a class at the yarn shop at Make One, and I should have just stopped and waited until Tuesday to have Amanda show me what I did wrong and fix it so that I could keep going. But instead I said, no, I want to work on this because I really am enjoying working on it. Hi, Peanut. It's so interesting, and I love how it works up, and the pattern is really, really inclusive. So you just, if you follow the pattern, you're good to go. Obviously I messed up somewhere. So anyway, I finally was like, forget it, I'm gonna figure it out, and I figured it out enough. It still is a little weird. You can see there's an extra strand here from somewhere. I have no idea how this happened, but that's where it messed up. But luckily the cables look fine, and I can block that out. I can just pin it so that you can't tell. And I was like, okay, I'm good. And I took a break to make dinner, and then I came back to it after dinner, and I dropped a stitch somewhere. I have no idea how or where, but when I went through one row, I didn't have enough stitches, but luckily I just increased in a place where you can't really see it, and no one will ever know. And I will not work on it again until I can concentrate on it more. Which probably will not be until the class on Tuesday night, which is fine by me. It gave me time to work on the baby blanket, and just relax and have some kind of meditative crochet instead of complicated knitting. So anyway, there it is. Yeah, and again, I'll show you in better light. But I think it's really cool, and I'm really excited that I am doing this. It's going to improve my knitting skills greatly. And I think I mentioned this last time, but buying the yarn and paying for the class were my birthday present to myself. So it's been a good birthday present so far, and will be once it's done. So there you go. And of course I bought cable needles to go with it, just the plastic ones. So yeah, whoops. Don't forget to put the pattern back in the bag. Ta-da! So those are all the projects that I have right now. I will pretty easily finish up the sleeve on the sweater. It's just more of a, when do I have the patience to work on DPNs? Because it's not too bad on the sleeve, but once you get to the decreases toward the end of the sleeve, and then for the ribbing on the bottom, it was like DPNs. And then I'm going to try to finish the baby blanket in the next couple days, and then I will keep working on the shawl. But my next projects that I have in mind, I was watching Kalisha, the Quirky Monday Craftcast, her most recent podcast, and she got some new yarn, and she showed it on the podcast, and I was like, I'm going to go buy that right now. And I knew exactly what I wanted to do with it. So the yarn is the new Karen X Pantone, Karen and Pantone. And this one is with bamboo. So these are the colors. Yeah, she showed the colors, and I was like, oh, that's mine. And I looked it up and made sure they had it at my Michael's. And I watched it yesterday, and then today I went out and got the yarn. So these are the colors. So it's kind of a rainbow. This is like a peachy, kind of rosy pink, and then a bright yellow, and a bright green, and a bright blue, and then a dark purpley violet kind of color. So you kind of have a Roy G. Biv with some of them missing. More of a pastel rainbow. They're calling it tropical fruit, which I could see. This could look like some tropical fruits. Yeah, and so the content for this yarn, because the other Karen X Pantone, which I used for a hat for my brother-in-law for Christmas, had wool in it. But instead of wool, this one has viscose from bamboo. So it's 60% acrylic, 20% nylon, and 20% viscose from bamboo. And so it's really soft. It'll be not really, but it'll be lighter and cooler than wool. And so I am going to make a car seat canopy out of this. I found a nice crochet pattern that was free on Ravelry, so once I start working on it, I'll show you the pattern. And it'll be striped in these colors. And then they had full, where is it? They had a full skein of just the last color, which is number 19-4028, indigo. So there's the indigo. So this will be the border. This will be striped, and it's just a flat blanket, and then you put crocheted bands on the top with buttons so that you can attach it to the top of the car seat, the handle, and then it drapes over the car seat to like protect the baby from weather, direct sunlight, all that kind of fun stuff. So I'll do that. So I got 3 of these and then 1 of these for the border, and I think it's going to be gorgeous, and I'm so excited. Yarn. And I got some other colors because I have a friend who is giving birth in like 2 weeks, and I hadn't really figured out what to do for her yet, and they don't know the sex of the baby. They're waiting until the birth. So I got some more kind of neutral colors, and rainbows are always neutral. Everybody loves rainbows. But I didn't think this would really be my friend's palette. It's a little bright. So I got this set. So this is Sunset Sky. So white, yellow, kind of a pastel pink. This is kind of a gray blue, and then another kind of violet color. Not the same as the indigo. It's a little more black than purple. Yeah, Sunset Sky. So I got a couple of these. And then I got this, which is a slightly different shade than this blue, but I thought it was close enough. And this one is Celestial Blue. So you can tell it's kind of shiny. Part of that is the artificial lighting, but it's also just kind of shiny. So those will go together. And what I'm gonna do is make it so that the bands, the buttons are on the actual canopy, and the bands just have the holes, so that when they grow, the babies grow out of their infant car seats, and you're not carrying them around in the car seats anymore, you can take the bands off and then just cut the buttons off, and you'll have a blanket. So, because the infant car seats don't last as long, they grow out of them relatively quickly, and so then your car seat canopy is relatively useless. I mean, you could give it to somebody else, obviously, but I figured it would be nice to have it so that it would just then turn into like a toddler blanket, really. So yeah. Yarn. And of course I was insanely tempted to grab a bunch of these, but no. Only yarn that has a specific project in mind. And obviously I make my friends first. I don't necessarily want her to be the guinea pig for this idea, but the pattern's pretty simple, and she's giving birth in like 2 weeks. So she has to have a scheduled C-section for medical reasons, so she knows exactly when she's having this baby. Which is good, because that gives me a solid deadline, and then I can work on it and get it done. So that's everything that I have going on yarny-wise. I haven't really purchased any patterns in the last couple of weeks, so that's pretty much where we are. I did buy a shawl pattern a couple of weeks ago. I saw it on Instagram, but it'll be a long time before I'm able to work on it. So, but I tucked it away because I already know I have the yarn for it. So that's perfect. But yeah, so that's all the yarny things. So I'll give you some life updates. Things are going relatively well with mine and baby's health. I'm 29 weeks today. So he is roughly the size of a head of cauliflower. I think that's what the app said. He's a baby. He's a growing baby. We're getting closer, only 11 more weeks until my due date. Probably will go past that just because of family history, and statistically speaking, first time pregnancies usually go to 41 weeks, according to the woman teaching my birthing class. But yeah, just a couple more weeks to go. We got some more furniture to put together. And I have a lot more sorting to do, but it's really motivated me to get my stuff together and get those boxes put together of the yarn. So I will get that started, and then keep an eye out on Instagram, and on YouTube I'll do a video special just for the giveaway of the mystery boxes of yarn. Still have a little bit of sorting to do, but it'll mostly just be getting the boxes and then putting the yarn in the boxes, and then coordinating the Ravelry so that we can get those sent out. I'd love for that to get done in the next 2 weeks before I podcast next, so that I can announce everything at the next podcast. I make no promises, but hopefully. And I can finally get my stuff together and send out the mini skeins that I gave away in the last podcast. I can actually send them to her. Sorry, they're on their way, or they will be tomorrow. Anyway, yeah, so generally things are going well. I did find out, I guess it was a little over a week ago, that I have gestational diabetes, which is annoying, but not that big a deal. Of course, I was scared out of my mind when they first told me, but it's really not that big a deal. It just means that I have to test my blood sugar and stay away from sugar and non-complex carbs. So, you know, instead of eating white rice, having brown rice, and whole wheat pasta instead of regular pasta, that kind of thing. And the tests have been going really well. I have a class. We have Kaiser as our insurance, and they really like classes. There's like 8 baby classes that I've, different classes that we've been going to. So yeah, so it's not too bad. I miss strawberry ice cream, but it's only a couple more weeks, and the majority of the time it goes away as soon as you give birth, because it's something about the pregnancy hormones making me insulin resistant. So it's not that my pancreas isn't working, as is the case with some types of diabetes, but it's just that the insulin isn't working in my body as well because of the hormones. So I'm okay with it. My mom had it when she was pregnant with my sister and I, so it makes sense that I would have it too. It's kind of genetic, all that kind of fun stuff. So it's mostly just like, boo. And having to poke myself 4 times a day isn't my favorite, but I've gotten pretty used to it by now, so that's where that is. And the good news is that everybody's still healthy. You know, I'm feeling really good. Starting to have some lower back pain, but that's to be expected. And for my birthday, my lovely husband got me a prenatal massage, so I'm very excited. I have to call and schedule that. That'll be really good for my back. So yeah, things are going good. My birthday was a lot of fun. My birthday was last Friday, and I sat on the couch and worked on my birthday shawl, the Cozy Winter, and then Adam had a gig up in Pasadena, and we used to live up there, and one of our favorite super fancy pasta places is up there, so we went and got handmade pasta, and I obviously broke my gestational diabetes diet to have pasta, and we even got dessert, but my numbers were still good, so it worked out well. And then he had a gig after that at this German bar, so I went and hung out while they played, and my brother and sister-in-law came, and yeah, we had a really good time. It was just a fun evening, a birthday well spent. I did get some birthday money from family, so I'm hoarding that because the LA Yarn Crawl is in early April, so I'll hit a couple of shops up and get some yarns. So I gotta find some patterns. And I'll probably get stuff for baby, but also get some stuff for myself, so that I can make some things for me. Yeah, things are good. That's my update. We have a bunch of more classes. Like I said, there's a couple more birthing classes, and then there's the maternity tour, and then there's the baby basic class, and then there's the infant safety and CPR class. There's the gestational diabetes class. So we have a lot more of that to do, but I'm starting to get into extra nesting mode, especially because since I feel better, feel good physically. So hopefully I have the energy to do some more tidying up, and I would love to do a deep clean of the apartment, which should be relatively easy because it's tiny. But we'll see, because despite the fact that I feel pretty good, and certainly having more energy than I did in my first trimester, I find that doing things makes me tired faster. So like today, going to Michael's, and then going to the pet store, and then going to the grocery store, and I came home and I was like, I need a nap. So it'll be, as long as I think I can do a little bit every day on the days when it's not crazy at work, then I should be able to get it all together. And baby shower's coming up, and need to make room for the stuff that we're gonna give them the baby shower. So anyway, all baby all the time. It was spring break this last week at work, which was really good, because I got to get a lot of the kind of back paperwork and administrative stuff done. So yeah, good times. Life is good. I still am planning on seeing you all in 2 weeks. And like I said, keep an eye out. I'm going to try really hard to go. Oh, just got kicked. Try to go get boxes and things to start putting those mystery boxes together so that I can send them all to you and so that they are no longer in my house. And yeah, so just keep an eye out. I got some more adorable pictures of the animals, so if I didn't put them in the beginning, I will also put them at the end. I feel like that was fun last time. Yeah, so thank you so much for watching. I will see you in a couple weeks. Again, you can find me online on Instagram and Ravelry, and you can email me at thetattedtatterca@gmail.com, and I'll see you soon. Bye!